Hello again, and welcome to Winning with the Wrangler at Dick Powell's Leadership Corner, brought to you by Earth, Wind, Fire, Water Training and Development, where our passion is building leaders of today and tomorrow. Leaders, we gather our information from many different places and many different people. So if you hear yourself in our conversation today, please remember it is not all about you. Now this morning we have Miss Robin with us. Robin, how are you doing this morning?
I am terrific.
I understand that we're going to tackle a subject that might not be all that, it might be controversial. What do you think?
I'm pretty sure it's going to be controversial.
Today's we're going to talk about something called holiday menus, and we're going to also just we're going to take a really fast. What does it mean to give away food for free?
Like the whole meal for the holiday free.
Well, what we're seeing is, and this was my question I asked this morning, with so many organizations giving away free food. I mean, gosh, there's so many organizations in our world. Why would anyone go and buy their own food for a holiday meal?
Well, I was wondering what the qualifications were for free food. I don't really know, but the trigger was last night on our local news where we got all this wonderful press on the wonderful Buccaneers, our local football team, who gave away 1,000 free holiday meal boxes.
They gave away the whole meal.
The whole meal.
There was no check, and they had people in line in cars.
Yeah, which is wonderful.
Well,
it sounds wonderful. But I'm concerned about the backstory.
Well, for me, the backstory would be, if it was free, it kind of devalues the whole idea. I think it devalues the person receiving, and I think it's devaluating the person giving. It's more of, look at me.
Yeah, that does come up a lot. Ooh wee, what am I doing? Look at me, look what I'm doing. I'm doing this and it's wonderful. And I always go back to so many years ago, people getting free bags of Thanksgiving dinner food, and we're specifically about Thanksgiving today. They get a free bag of food. There's a couple of problems with that. If they don't know how to cook it, which is the most common thing, I don't know how to cook a turkey. The directions are on the package. If you can read, you can cook a turkey. Just make sure you pull the bags of
the giblets
out first, and the neck, because that doesn't really add anything to the flavor. But if you forget, you can still eat the turkey. It's okay. People do it all the time. So that's not hard. And I don't know what their holdup is. Why they wouldn't. It's free food. Why you wouldn't use it? I know.
Well, think about it. Different cultures from different places.
Yeah.
Now, we've had this discussion many times that when we've given away food to certain folks, that basically they come back to us and tell us that, it was really nice of you to do that, but we didn't know how to cook it. We don't know how to prepare it.
Right.
And so what we really came to a conclusion was, would it be better for us to have a class on how to prepare food?
How to prepare the turkey.
And everything else. I mean, we were having a discussion about stuffing.
Oh yeah, the stuffing. I was at a women's lunch. We were talking about what kind of stuffing do you make, and how many people have how many different kinds of stuffing. Well, I know we cooked for the preschool at our church a few times, and the first time I make my own stuffing. I'm sorry, I don't do preservatives. Stovetop is not my friend. It's not hard to make stuffing. It really isn't. I learned to make it without dirtying a pan. It's even better. So I made my own stuffing. My great-grandmother's bread, sage, that Yankee one. And they didn't get eaten because they didn't know what it was. And it didn't look like stovetop.
Right.
Okay, so the next trip is stovetop. That's one thing. I have a friend who is actually from the north, but for some reason she makes cornbread stuffing, which is a total southern kind of thing, That was funny. And one lady the other day, I never heard of this, she said, well, you start out by frying up a pound of bacon.
That's good with me.
When it gets crispy, you crumble it into the stuffing and add the grease. And I'm like, whoa. So she's using bacon grease like I would use butter. Isn't that interesting? And I know my cousin years ago she brought the Thanksgiving dinner. It was her year. We were camping. We used to camp for Thanksgiving. and they decided to grind up the liver and gizzards
Yeah.
into the stuffing, and nobody could figure out what those funny dark spots were. But then it explained why it didn't taste quite right. And I said, I don't think that's the way your grandmother, my great grandmother, made that. But she never did it again. It just wasn't right. It might have been her husband's family recipe. I don't know. And everybody's got their own stuffing thing. Keep that in mind. But now back to the free food. So,
Go ahead.
we all have food. If I got certain things, like if I got stovetop stuffing,
Uh-huh.
I would not use it because
What would you do with it then?
I would give it-
if someone had given it to
I would
you,
take it to church and put it in the manna box,
all right. So,
or to the food pantry, or
but
give it to a
let's
neighbor.
just say that you're this couple,
Mm-hmm.
and you have some children, and you really could use the help.
You could use that.
And
for
someone
help.
gives you a box full of what they consider a meal,
Right.
and you open it up and you find, gee, I don't eat canned green beans, and what's this stuff you're supposed to put with green beans
the
to make?
mushroom soup and the
Come on,
onions.
how do people really do that? Now, if you've never seen it before, and or that wasn't your holiday tradition, what would
do
you
you
do
do?
with all that food?
Exactly. Does it go in the garbage? Does it go to a neighbor? Does it go back for a trade-in? I know our local grocery stores stopped taking food back.
Well, and that's another
Well,
thing.
they were taking. People were going to the food pantry, getting food they didn't eat. They took it back to the grocery store and got the money and bought what they do eat. Which makes sense.
So
except you
if-
don't know how old that food is.
If we were actually doing this and really felt for these folks, you had made a suggestion that it might be smarter to give them a gift card to one of the grocery stores. But even then, I'm going to say, gee, what does that do for the people actually help? Now, what if they aren't used to going to Publix, let's say, and they're used to going to Save-A-Lot?
Okay, so
What-
maybe they had a choice
Of
in
what
which
gift-
grocery store they went to.
Okay.
Maybe they lived too far to get to the card you gave them. You have to find out their neighborhood store.
That's it.
Where they can go shop and give them a card for that store.
Okay. You see,
Just saying.
I'm thinking that might be a little better, but I still think there ought to be some kind of, well, I know it's going to sound terrible to some people, but isn't there some kind of qualifications that, gee, I it's just my husband and wife, or I'm single and I need a whole food basket.
Oh, so you would get the same amount of food as a family of 6?
Yeah.
Oh, whoa, that's problematic.
Well, that's what we were doing. We were
doing.
actually
No size fits
doing.
all.
We
No
were
size
doing
fits
that,
all.
and the people that were getting it they were really thankful because they would feed them for a month.
Yeah, it could. If they could keep the meat that long, like if you had a place to store it, which is another part of the situation. If you're giving food to homeless people, they don't have any storage.
Well, and that was what the young man who I met the other day, it was outside. I was doing some things for you over at the store, and he said, "Could I clean your windshield?" He says, "I just want to take and get enough for my dinner." And I said to him, I said, "Sure, just go ahead and clean that thing up." And we went into Save-A-Lot and got him some dinner.
Oh.
But here's the thing: is it had to be ready-made. It had to be ready to go because he was homeless, so he didn't have a microwave, he didn't have a stove, he didn't have any of those things. He had to get something that he could eat right then.
Okay, so the backup would be we provide homeless people with a small backpacker stove.
I don't know. I know that the MREs, quite frankly, they come with a heatable thing inside it, and I'm thinking that might be a little bit better.
The challenge with the MREs is that you shouldn't eat them more than 3 days in a row, or you might have other problems.
Well, but still,
that's okay.
That's a different
but
thing.
In one place, that's a better balanced meal than a hamburger every day from somewhere.
Well, I gave him enough to go to the Colonel there on the corner.
Okay, so you get like vegetables, like coleslaw.
Well, he got a whole meal.
Okay,
is what he got.
That's good. That's good.
And it was,
and that happens a lot. A lot of people do that. I met somebody last weekend. I was talking to him, and he said he always carries, food in his car to give to people. That's not a bad idea.
His young man was willing to work for it, so walking him over there was an easy thing for me to do.
That's very fair.
Okay,
I think that's very fair. I'm proud of you.
And there was no big deal, but that's the difference. And when I have to tell you, when I saw this big long line of cars on the TV, and these big football players handing out these, opening the doors, putting these boxes of food in the backs of these cars. There was only one person in every car. There wasn't a whole family. There wasn't. I thought to myself, what is going on? And here's the thing: is how many other places had they been?
Oh, that was your first question. My first question is, what kind of car are they driving?
I guess I'm not a very trustworthy person, am I?
I wouldn't want to put that into a Mercedes or a Lincoln or a BMW.
Well,
that would be kind of off. But maybe they have less money than other people. I don't. That could happen. So again, how many?
Every year we look at the holiday feast, and I'm gonna tell you what. Here at our house, we are very fortunate to be able to take and do that every year, and we have been fortunate through our whole lives. And the difference is I guess even when we didn't have much, we had enough.
We had enough.
And I think that was the difference. I don't know.
The way we looked at things was different. Also, that we have enough.
How much is enough? I was over at a school doing some reading for some young people, and I had to look around and I talked to some of the teachers afterwards, and they were all very concerned about the young people who were having, they provided a breakfast and a lunch and a dinner, but yet they had $150 tennis shoes. The teachers were concerned
we are all
that
evaluating things like that.
The teachers were concerned that here they are, these children are learning the values of what? Something for nothing. Right. And what does that really teach us? Something for nothing.
Someone will always take care of me.
I won't say that, everybody's got to get out there and have calluses on their hands. What I am saying is that everybody can do something to be productive.
I think that's right. And I think the other part that's missing here is we don't teach how to live within a budget. And we have no concept of what people make. Did I just hear that the starting salary for a teacher was like $45,000 a year?
Yes.
And we're supposed to feel bad for them. Well, when you're talking to people that are in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, they're not living on $45,000 a year. They're living on less, and they're making do. And they don't understand how come these poor teachers haven't learned with all their education how to make, or anyone can learn in college, how to make it on what you're going to make.
And that discussion came up at Sunday school on Sunday.
Yeah.
How the question is how come churches don't do a little better job at doing some instruction on how to handle money?
How to handle your money.
And even in that class, half of the class was, they were peeved at me for even bringing it up. Mm-hmm. And one person was kind of angry with me that I would even mention such a thing in church. Well,
then
I have to tell you that skills, those skills are learned, okay? And if no one ever tells you about them, well, no one ever told you about them.
Well, the interesting thing about that was you have a new person in that class.
Yes.
The first thing out of her mouth was the name Dave Ramsey. And Dick and I just laughed. Because we've been to many Dave Ramsey seminars and took the classes over the years and everything else. But our church, every time we mention Dave Ramsey, they don't want any part of it. And she just sat there with her mouth up and go, "What do you mean?" They don't want to learn. People don't want to learn how to live within their budget and how to fraction out their money. He has go check it out. There's a system, and it works really, really well. You live within your means.
That's the whole thing. Okay, please don't misunderstand what Rob and I are trying to say today. Well, there are people who need help, and you know what? I will help anyone. Mm-hmm. I won't enable anyone, but I'll help anyone. There's a huge difference between enabling and helping.
But people who think they deserve certain things that
you
are costly, and that's where their money's going. Come on,
it's the you owe me.
Be smart.
When someone pulls up and tells me they're in dire need and they've got a pack of cigarettes and tattoos all over their arms, I have to think, and what's with the colored hair? I don't get it.
I don't know.
But when that happens, I have to think to myself, you've got several $100s tattooed on your arms. You can't eat that stuff, and it doesn't go away. And what's the deal?
It was a choice.
Exactly. This thing that Robin and I are talking about today, whether it's for free food, menus for a holiday, whatever it is, it's about choices. And our choices in our life are based on where we live, who we grew up with, who we heard speaking, so that we internalized what was going on.
Right, what we responded to that we heard.
And that's really what Robin and I are talking about today.
Right.
What we're really talking about as leaders, as grown-ups, as adults, we have a responsibility. And our responsibility is really to pass on good learning skills to people around us, no matter what their age, by the way. It always amazed me that many older people like ourselves weren't interested in learning how to handle money. They truly believe, like my mother did, that the government will provide for you forever, and that's just not true. You see, it can't happen that way.
It doesn't work. And I learned that when I was in the 4th grade from a teacher. She said, don't count on Social Security taking care of you, because someone's got to pay for that.
Well, and it's not...
It may or may not.
There is nothing for free. Here's what I'm going to tell you. If you think you're getting something for free, someone somewhere has put out the money or the work or the effort or something. They have done something for you to make that happen. So I want you to think about that. When you're receiving something for free, what does it mean to you?
Well, and do you value it at its value, what it costs someone, or do you value it as free?
I always remember what one person who told us that her father had given a young man a new bicycle because he needed a bicycle to go to work every day. And after a while, he went back to see this young person, and the young person was walking again. He said, well, what happened to the bicycle that I gave you? He said, well, it had a flat tire, so I threw it away. You see, he stood there in amazement. He said, well, if you told me, I would have helped you get fix the flat tire, or I would have get a new tire, or whatever it was, so you can still go to work. You see, when you get things for free, I'm not so sure it really means the same thing as when you put your hard effort into it.
Look at even our daughter many years ago wanted a Cabbage Patch doll for Christmas.
Okay.
And she was about 6 or 7 years old at the time and had really never played with dolls, which is worrisome for a girl. It's one of those, what's wrong?
You're going to get in trouble for that one.
But she just didn't have a doll she really liked. She got a Cabbage Patch Kid for Christmas. Her birthday was about a month after Christmas, and she got some birthday money, and the first thing she did was go buy another Cabbage Patch doll. The next thing she did was want another Cabbage Patch doll, and we made her work it off. We made her work it off at 25 cents per chore. But I got to tell you, she still has those dolls. She's going to be 41 next year. And she's doling them out to her daughter one at a time for good things, good grades, good things in school. And the daughter is cherishing these dolls as much as our daughter did because she had to work for them. They weren't just given to her. She had to work for them. So the newest Cabbage Patch doll is sitting in my workroom waiting for Grandma to make clothes for Christmas. But that's what Grandma does. So be aware, even when you get gifts for free, what is the value? Do you value that someone had to work and earn and maybe give up something to buy you that gift, and you value it at what it cost? Or do you think it's free, and how do you value that? And I think as Americans in today's society, we need to look at things from that perspective.
When you were growing up, depending on where it was and how you grew up, it's going to be how you look at this.
Right.
The thing I'm going to tell you is that, quite frankly, nothing in life is free. Now, leaders, if that's hard for you to understand, or if you disagree with it, hey, you know what? Give me a call. Send me an email. Let's talk about it. What I'm going to tell you is that a smart man once took me off the side and told me that we all stand on the shoulders of great people. And that means, really, quite frankly, that there's no one that has not given us something and helped us somewhere along the way. Now, the whole thing is this: are they helping or are they hindering? And are they providing, are they helping, or are they enabling? You see, when we enable people, that means we give them things for free with no strings, and that can be terrible. When there's nothing that they have to take and do to make it happen, then what does it really value of that, and how does it devalue the person? That's really where I'm coming from.
And the next part of that is, if that's the way you've been through life, people have provided for you and you've had no responsibilities, what happens when that part goes away and all of a sudden you have to be responsible for yourself? What happens then?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I think that's the question. When I see the news or I read the paper or in those kind of things, and I see people who, well, just expect it. They've grown up with this thought process that you owe me. Everyone owes them a living. Everyone owes them a new car and fancy shoes and a place to live and food on their table. They owe them that. And I don't understand it. I just don't get it. Because what I see is over and over is the poor little old me syndrome happening. And
sometimes
that's a choice.
I don't think you poor little old me. But that doesn't really walk the same path as your income, because you can have 2 and 3 times our income and feel poor because that's the way you were brought up or that's what you expected. I know we had friends years ago, we found out made triple our income. We thought we were living pretty good. We had a decent house and, we got a couple of kids and a couple of cars and we're doing stuff and we're taking vacations and we're fine. And we found out one Christmas Eve, when he happened to mention how much money he made, that they actually made triple our income and we thought they were destitute. So you don't know. You don't know what people really make and how they're spending it and what they're spending it on and why they have no savings. They have old cars, whatever. That's what they value. They value the old car. It's still running. Doesn't matter. They could buy 5 new ones this year. I'm not exaggerating. That's just the way you look at money and things. So I think that's part of the whole deal. So if you look at money like, easy come, easy go, I'm poor because I'm spending everything I have. And you're looking at the free food baskets, to bring this back around. What would they do with the free food basket? Probably the same thing most people do. They wouldn't know how to cook it.
Well, it was amazing.
It wouldn't be what they wanted to eat.
They were getting free food baskets at that time.
Are you kidding?
And we were sending their kids, we were paying for their kids to go to camp.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
And you know what? I don't begrudge doing that for them.
And I wouldn't
because
do anything different.
I
would have been happier not knowing their annual income.
I would have done it for their children no matter what, because kids come first in our house and they always have. And that's what we've always done. I'm not so sure I would have done it for the parents, but the children are special. And that's a different ball game altogether. That's why I'm encouraging you to start thinking about this and how we work with our children. What do they hear that this whole thing is, it's free, it's for me. I'm very concerned.
The other good part about the free food baskets, we have a mission for migrant workers in our area that we visited a few years ago, right before Thanksgiving, and they have food. They get free food away. Their food pantry runs like Tuesday or Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're over there the day after that. Meanwhile, all the local big distributor grocery stores are giving them more food, and they were all excited because the food bags, all the non-perishables for Thanksgiving were already all bagged up in the storage area. And I said, okay, you all are from various, they're illegal aliens. They're from various South American, Central American kind of countries. What do you eat for Thanksgiving? Because that's pretty much an American holiday. And they said, what you eat? Turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, gravy, sweet potatoes. I'm like, really? Because I expected like chicken and rice and beans. And he said, no. We only know Thanksgiving from the American side. We eat cranberries and green bean casserole and sweet potatoes and turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes. And I thought it was interesting that they just wrote directions on how to cook everything and stuck it in the bags.
That was the difference.
But that was the difference. They had a place to cook. They had housing with kitchens, and they had a place to cook, and they figured out how to cook the food, and it was good. It might have had a little South American, Central American spices in there, but wouldn't that be interesting?
It was good for me.
It was good to know. Yeah, because the day we were there, we were actually bagging up these beautiful, beautiful eggplant.
God, they were huge.
Oh, they were gorgeous. They were gorgeous.
They were huge.
They were huge, big, and they were getting 5 in a bag. I'm like, okay, what are your people going to do with these eggplant? They said, oh, we just add we give them recipes for different things. And they said, do you want some eggplant? I'm like, yes. So
but that's the difference between helping and enabling. Helping was actually providing the food with some direction on how to prepare it so they could feed their family.
Right.
Enabling was just giving it to them and walking away.
Bye. You're on your own.
That's the difference.
Yes.
That's the difference.
So I hope all the people that are getting free Thanksgiving dinners
hope they're thankful.
Are grateful. Are thankful. And have a really enjoyable meal from what they're having and can put it together. If you need some help, go to the internet.
If you don't have internet, ask somebody. That's the whole thing.
Go to a church and say, who's your cook? We need help cooking this food. Can she give us a class?
Take and reach out with the thought process of helping and not enabling.
Right.
If you're just giving it and walking away, that's saying, look at me. If you're providing it and then teaching or giving some instructions, that's a different ball game. Having people line up in their cars 100 deep so they can drive through a line and have things put in their car and drive out the other side, that is enabling. That is not helping. And that's really all I really wanted to bring to the forefront today.
But whichever way you look at it, whichever way it's responded to, I hope everybody feels blessed.
We do. Rob and I have been blessed over and over. Believe me, we have been blessed. We like to take and help and think, and we're providing some information and some thought process to help you become better leaders. That's why we do this every day, and we're always thinking about what can we bring to the forefront that's going to help you maybe stimulate just that one little thought process to help you become a better leader. We want everyone to have a gracious and wonderful holiday season. There's no doubt about it. We have been blessed here, and our Thanksgiving will be a big table full, even if it's just for Miss Robin and myself. You see, it doesn't matter who is there with you. What matters is being thankful for what the good Lord's given you. And that's the difference of being self-worth or being left out. Now, I see our time's coming to a close, and we've got about 2 minutes left. What do you want to wrap up with?
Oh, I don't know. Let me think. Oh, eat all your leftovers. If you have a freezer, everything freezes.
Okay.
You get free meal. You get fast meals that way. We just finished the squash from last year about 3 weeks ago. But take care of yourself and make new traditions or resurrect old traditions. But make it meaningful. Thanksgiving is all about the food and the people. And the enjoyment. Just take it for what it's worth. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the day.
All right. Well, on behalf of myself, Dick Powell, and Miss Robin Powell, we want to take and say thank you for being a part of today's program. Now, if you have any concerns or thoughts you would like to have added to our world, please don't hesitate. Give us a phone call at 727-422-1833. 727-422-1833. Send us an email, dick@ewfw.org, robin@ewfw.org, and chime in. Let us know what you're thinking. Or if you've got a good program that we ought to put on, let us know that too. Let us know that when you're ready to take and have us come and put on a leadership opportunity at your location. It's something that Robin and I have done for many, many years, and we can do for you. Now, you need to get on our calendar pretty darn quick because we book up throughout the year pretty darn fast, and we want to make sure that we come out and serve you as we serve everyone else. Well, I think we're coming down to the end here. What else do we have to say?
I'd wrap it up. You got a minute.
I have a whole minute? Well, how did I get a whole minute? Well, you know what? Really what I want to tell you is Robin and I are capable of doing keynote speaking, as well telling stories, and or giving instructions on business coaching. We're always here for you, and we're always ready to take and help. Again, 727-422-1833, dick@ewfw.org, or robin@ewfw.org. And until next time, this is DW, the Wrangler, and Miss Robin saying,
Adios.
ride hard, ride fast.